Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Always Coding. This is our weekly Hacky Hour. And today's focus is on deploying Always AI applications on production devices. So production devices essentially enable you to deploy your application out into field production. And these applications have added resiliency in the sense that they don't need to be auto-started. And you can update your applications while they're out onto the field without having to like really make a lot of changes. And we have Lila here to like describe that a little bit more in detail. So welcome, Lila. So a little bit about me. I'm Komal Devjani, a developer advocate at alwaysAI, and I'm joined by Lila, who is a developer advocate and software engineer also at alwaysAI. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to run a simple object detector just so everyone who's new in the community can get started. So we're going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's navigate into alwaysai.co. And once you've navigated onto the site, you've logged in, you will be navigated into the dashboard. So here you can learn about training a model, create a project, check out some of our popular starter apps, and run the sample project and install the CLI. So this will be a great place for you to get started. You click install CLI, select your operating system, hit next, and then download for your specific operating system. And then you'd be guided through the process. So make sure once you've downloaded, you can start the app and follow the instructions available to you. So I, of course, have my CLI already downloaded. So I'm just going to navigate into projects. And we're going to run a simple object detector. So I have created a project here for Hacky Hour, and I've also added in my model. So if you want to learn how to do that, you just click add new model, and you can go into our public model catalog here. So you can open that and select a model, add that to your project, and you should be good to go. So what we're going to do, because I've already added my model, is I'm going to copy the first command here and navigate into my terminal and paste that in here. So hit enter, and that should configure my project. And I'm going to save that on my local machine. And then what we're going to do is just copy the rest of the steps here. AI app install, AI app start. And that's going to run your object detector. And I'm running the Coco model, which can identify all of these labels here. So we're going to copy this link over here and open an empty web browser and paste our link here. See, okay. All right, so as you can see, you can detect me, you can detect this chair over here, my potted plants, and this can identify lots of labels, but I just don't have any sheep at this moment. So yeah, I am gonna stop sharing. And now we can head over and discuss production devices. So Lila, would you like to, and hi everyone. So there's a lot of new people joining. Crystal, welcome. And Akshay, also welcome. Thanks for joining. So as I mentioned, today's topic is production devices. So Lila, would you like to kind of walk us through what production devices are and why someone might benefit from using that?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. And yes, hi everyone. Nice to see new people. Right, so if you don't know, if you're not familiar with alwaysAI, you probably aren't aware that we just did a release this week. So that's, we've done this release. It enables this new feature. This feature will only be available to certain subscription levels. If you can still use alwaysAI as Komal showed you, the freemium account will always let you play around with development mode. So that lets you get your hands dirty and play with computer vision. This is for production devices so that they persist out on their edge devices when they're running. If you power cycle your device, the application will still come back on. So that's a handy feature. And it also comes with a package command, which will enable you to make a Docker image that then you can push up to Docker Hub and then use on a similar device. So a Raspberry Pi, another Raspberry Pi, and then just deploy it as you would. So we did have some old commands. If you are a long alwaysAI user, thank you for sticking around. And those commands are now slightly different. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to have this hacky hour, office hour. Just make sure that you know that things are a little different. If you joined a while ago, but not super long ago, you might not have known that the deploy command, which is now, used to be used in another way. We used to have deploy to an edge device, and then we used install for local machines. Now install works to build your environment and get all of your dependencies added. Now deploy will just be used for this production deployment. So please use AI app install whenever you've configured a device and you're just getting it set up to run. Deploy is when you want to take that device into production mode. So, and now we have Steve here. So Steve, feel free to jump in and correct me or add anything you think will be more interesting if I've forgotten something.
No, I mean, you're getting, there is a workflow change. So guys, basically what happened is eventually our investors said you have to make money, right? So we set up our commerce wall, and then we've been working with some commercial customers and things like that. So this is why the change is there between production. It's a difference between our freemium model and our paid models coming up. And we've seen that, Como's been telling you it's coming, it's here. Now, one of the workflow changes in Lila, I'm sorry, I was with a customer, so now I'm over here now with the community. And basically, one of the things you have to remember is on your development now, there's a token that will distinguish between the two different devices. And so it expires a development token every 24 hours. So you will, like, if you work one day and you come back 24 hours later, you have to go ahead and at some point in time run the alwaysAI app config, and you'll see an error message come up saying, hey, this device isn't registered and things like that. So that is one of the workflow disruption, is you're going to have to run config at least once every 24 hours on your project if you're in development. So I just wanted to point out that piece. And then later on, when I think you're going to go ahead and show people how to move something to production mode. And then I'll get all the fun part, because we've added Yolo models in, we've added Yolo 4 and things like that. And then I'll try to answer one of the questions we have and show actually an Xavier running 2 TensorRT Yolo models with 2 cameras, because it goes back to one we had at our last one saying, how much can we support? So we'll take a look at what that looks like on an Xavier. So I get the good one, you get the fun, interesting one of going to production mode. So
I think Yolo sounds really fun. I think that sounds saving the best for last.
Yeah. So the nice thing about production mode is it will put the Docker packaging in a point where it's self-bootable, and it will run just like we want the device to do in production. So anyway, let's go over to you, Lila. That's all I have to say right now.
No, that was a really good point. Yes. Yeah. The refresh token, having those production devices will save you that hassle too. And that's what you need if your device is going to be up there running. It can't time out. So yeah, I already have it running. Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So I'm just going to walk you guys through, show you that it's running, show you how to do it on the dashboard, and then show you all the commands in my terminal that I went through to get that up and running. Okay, so first of all, let me share my screen. Oh, sorry, Como, can you enable it? I forgot to ask. It wouldn't be a hacky hour if I hadn't forgot to ask.
Every hacky hour has one.
Every hacky hour. Okay, right. Perfect. Okay, so here it is, up and running. Forgive me for not having a really cool screen, to show you like Como did with the plants and the couch and everything. The office is occupied, working from home, so I didn't want to put my office mate on screen because he didn't sign up for that. So this is my bookshelf, but you can see it thinks it's a TV monitor because it's a square and it's filling up the entire camera. So don't hold that against the real-time object detector. This is a very strange use case, but you can see that it's up and running. And then let's see. Oops. wrong, stop. Let's look at my, sorry, terminal. Okay, actually, I don't know if you noticed, it did say it was stopped. Let me take it back. Now I've refreshed the screen and it says it's running. So that was just, it had gone to sleep, but the container is still going, and you can see that I can see output from it. All right, so now let's do so the first step, so if you have an alwaysAI development device, you've done AI app configure. I'll show you this in a second. It will say, where do you want to run this? You have those options that you always had, local or remote. But once you hit remote device, you'll say development or production. So when you're doing this development, maybe you don't have, maybe you only have one production device, maybe you're on a more limited account or something, you don't want to put it in production yet. So you're working on development mode. That's all fine and good. Once you want to move to production, you'll have to take that device out of development mode and put it in production. So here you can see my devices. This is on my dashboard. And then I click devices. If I go here, I can delete this device. I don't want to do that now, but if it was my development device, if it said development here, then I would want to delete it. And then it would go away. I wouldn't have any devices here. Or if I had multiple devices, I at least wouldn't see my LilaPi here. So once you do that, then you're going to reconfigure your device. And now we'll show my terminal. You guys see this okay?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, so this is a new terminal. I just did the alwaysAI starter apps, and then it was in the real-time object detector for reference. If you want to follow along, do AI get starter apps and then CD into that starter apps, or you could use, as Como showed you from the dashboard, just get a real-time object detector. We're in that same app. So first I ran AI app configure. Then I created a new project and I selected remote device. And I didn't have a production device. I said, add a new device, production type. So to have this, you'll be on a premium account and you'll have a production availability. Otherwise, if you're not on a premium account, it will prompt you and be like, hey, upgrade your account. So if you want to stay on the premium and just work with alwaysAI, then that's great. And you can still do that as usual. This is just for that new functionality. So I reconfigured my device. It's that you give it a friendly name. You can put the IP address or the name of the device depending on how your routers work. This works for me, pi@alwaysai.local for Mac. If you don't have a Mac, then you don't need the .local. You can always hook up your Pi to a monitor and keyboard and do ifconfig in the terminal and find the local IP address. That will also work. And you'll actually need that. I'll show you again in the browser when you're looking for the feed, you have to know that IP address. So that's handy. But for this is just easy way to set up your device. So then the next step, which is a little different, you probably haven't done this before, is you have to SSH into your device and run pip3 install docker compose, because this deploy command requires that docker compose is installed on your edge device. So that's a whole lot of installation screen that you're seeing there. And then there's this command you can check that just checks that everything installed properly and we're all good to go. Then I exited out of my SSH. So this all was done on the Pi. You can see this little Pi at alwaysAI. That means I'm on the edge device when I'm running those commands. Once we exit, I'm back on my MacBook. And then it's just the same, run AI app install as you would. You can see that it's connecting by SSH, it's building the target directory, building the Docker image. And then we're done. Everything, built the virtual environment, installed all the Python dependencies. We've done that a lot. So now we do the new command, AI app deploy, and it created the YAML file and built the container. All of that worked well, and it says, okay, I'm deployed to pi@alwaysai.local, and then as we see here. Oh, sorry, my Zoom is like in front. This was my IP address for my local network at 5,000. So port 5,000 as usual. And it's just running. There it is in my bookshelf. So are there any questions about that? Did I skip over anything?
Yeah, actually there is a question. Is the pip3 install Docker Compose Pi specific, or is it needed on the Nano as well?
It will be needed on any edge device. And Steve, if you have any extra comments there, but
no, I mean, again, that particular command, it will run down and it will bring in the bind. There's nothing specific to say the Pi versus that. It will bring down the compose to that system on the Nano. It is needed right now.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is our software is ahead of our docs, and so everything we're doing is documented. Will be documented up there. And then I think within the next week or so, I think Eric's working on a way to make sure that you don't have to go outside of, you don't have to do the pip3 install in the long run. And he's working on that. But in the short term, we will, and we will have documentation up on how to do this. So.
Yeah, good point. And I see another question from AB. Hi, AB. Is AI app install gone? No, and I'm sorry if I glossed over that. So AB's been around for a very long time. And I don't know, AB, if you were there when we used to use deploy differently, but AI app install is still there. I will show my terminal one more time. And I'm sorry if I glossed over this. So after you run those commands on the Pi, those temporary commands, here we do AI app install back on the development machine. So MacBook, Linux, Mac, whatever you're using to deploy from, that is where you run AI app install per usual. And then you run AI app deploy. So now AI app deploy is the final step after you've installed and built that the container and all the dependencies in the virtual environment and everything. Did that, I've lost my stuff again. I'm trying to get it back. Did that answer the question? Yes, yeah, you remember. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's still there. It's just different.
Say something as well. So I'm gonna like hey, Abby.
Hello, hi. Yeah, thanks for answering the question. Yeah, I remember earlier there was deploy and install were used like interchangeably based on the platform, using sometimes when we have to do Docker or deploy. So maybe on local system, if you want to deploy, then it is install, and then if you want to deploy it on Pi, it was deploy or something, and now it's all.
Yeah, so the first time deploy was used when you were, it was the first command. It was using it to deploy from a development machine to an edge device.
Yes,
and then
remote,
we added
yeah.
install, and install worked to just run it locally on your Mac or your Windows or your Linux. And then we kind of removed deploy. So install and deploy worked interchangeably, but we were moving towards just install. So now install works how deploy used to work, but it works for all devices. And deploy is just used for this production mode as that final step to go to production mode. So it doesn't have any of the old functionality if you're like AB and have used it for long enough to remember. So install is what you use to put the app on an edge device in development mode as usual, but deploy is used to take it into production mode.
Basically change the mode,
Yeah, and that has that like persistent, it will boot back up. And it's only available on those accounts that have that are like the
subscription account.
Yeah,
the subscription account.
Because there's a basic and a premium. Yeah.
And it does, and like Steve mentioned, that refresh token is then different. You don't have to, on a production device, you don't have that. So if you have a development device, you just rerun start or install or something, you might say, oh, you have to just reconfigure your app. So that's another difference. So the deploy command is now not the same as the install command.
So sorry, I have one more question
Yeah.
there. So suppose if I do install and I'm on a development environment at the moment, okay,
Yeah.
and then I do a install, it got deployed on the say Pi, and then I come maybe up next day. So the app will not work. You're saying I have to do a again install again?
If the
Yes,
yes,
you
if
have to
it's the
do a
next day and the
configure
time
and
the
install.
token has expired, then you'll just app configure install start.
Oh, okay, okay. So it will not run in a form of a daemon all the time, right?
Right, right.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. So I just wanted to know. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
And again, and I think one other thing as Lila gets there, that there also is now a package command. There should be
Yes.
so I'll let you're going to explain. I'll let you go ahead and
Yes,
do it.
and I did not run it on this example to package it, but using the package command will create a Docker image for that specific application that then you can push up to Docker Hub and use on another similar device. So Pi to Pi, Nano to Nano, that kind of thing. Steve, you'd probably know best about like Nano to Xavier or something like that. That's not my area, but that way you can use the same Docker image for another project without having to package it again, locally package and deploy. You can use the same Docker image that somebody else has pushed to Docker Hub. Is that any questions there? Any
Yeah, so let me
additions?
get one that's out there right now. So the question is, was Docker Composer needed before 1.0? And the answer is no, it wasn't needed, but it's also not needed if you're just doing development, right?
Yeah.
With the old workflow, configure, start, install. You don't need it. You only need it when you're going to go into the deploy side on the device. So
Right, and I would say, I'm just double checking. I think if you wanted to do model training, you might have needed Docker Compose, but it was not on the edge device. I just wanted, so in case you were confused, if you'd ever heard anything about Docker Compose, if you were doing model training in the past, you needed Docker Compose or Docker Desktop for that feature, but it was not on the edge device. And as Steve said, you don't need Docker Compose if you're not doing production now. This is just for production mode.
And
then we have the question on what would it be? Am I stealing your job, Como? I'll stop right
No.
now. You go ahead and ask the question. I got to stop doing that.
No, there's an interesting question in the chat that I wanted to like highlight. Someone asked what age is this for? And I think age for this Hacky Hour and platform, it's applicable to all ages. Anyone can join.
Yeah,
So
we don't curse, so
Yeah.
or do anything like that. So it's
Try to keep everything very user friendly. If you can run all this stuff and you're young, then that's cool.
Yeah. And then Steve, I believe you're going to answer the question of what steps, what are the steps to be able to run?
Well, there's two. So Lila's going through the steps if you actually want to take your current app into production mode, if you're, basic subscriber and so forth. And if you're just going through development and so forth, it's the same process as it's always been. There's no changes to that. It's configure, install, and start.
Yes. Yeah. So we can run through my terminal again one more time if you guys wanted. But once you have, it's very similar to the regular workflow. There's just a couple extra steps thrown in. Let's see, one more time. Might as well just show it and see what other questions come in.
So
but
sorry, Lila, when you get invalid token, what I've been told is try to, it would be a token refresh that you would need to do. And I guess I go a little bit more. First of all, I'm assuming you're on CLI version 1.0. So what I always do is I always log back on as a user. I always log out, log on. Now that may not be necessary. And if Eric was here, he may be yelling at me. But anyway, in a nice way, no bad words. So on that. But you could do that. But I think what they tell me is all you really need to do is run configure again. So do the alwaysAI app configure, and that should refresh the tokens, and then the install and then the start, and that will refresh the tokens.
Yeah, and let us know if you're hitting any issues. You can post them on Discord. Since it's new, we want to know what kind of trouble anyone's having, and we can see if it's just a one-off issue or if there's something else going on.
And then we're having votes. We're having interesting debates on the product. It should be 48 hours, 24 hours. So please come to Discord and if you want the tokens on development, when do you want them to expire? Go ahead and set up what you guys think are the best time. Come in and do some voting and so forth.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. Find us on Discord. I'll be happy to help you after Hacky Hour.
Yeah, definitely on that. We're sorry that didn't work for you.
Yeah. So I don't think there were any more questions related to this development mode. If you guys want to run through the commands again, I'm happy to. But otherwise, we could kick it over to Steve for some YOLO stuff and
I get to do YOLO. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit on that. Okay, let me get my video started and bring some stuff down. So, and then I want to share the screen. All right, so, and then you have to push the actual share button. So hopefully you can see my wonderful little terminal up right now. And then I'll see if I can make sure we can bring it back. So what we've added onto, so there's a couple of things that are, well, let me start with it. So what comes new with this from a model perspective is we have now the YOLO, we've added Yolo 3 SSP model and the Yolo 4 and Yolo 4 tiny model to the regular catalog for any ARM64, and it can be executed against the CPU, not against the Myriad device yet. So we're working on getting those up in the catalog. That's what Taiga has. So we'll work on the YOLO versions for the Myriad and so forth, and that'll be upcoming. There's some changes we have to do on the system and so forth. Myriad is not YOLO friendly. And then as we go into our Jetson series, we have them for the Nano and the NX, and I think we'll be compiling up on the TX2s for those who are out there. So if you look at it, so here's an example of Yolo V4 tiny, and there's for the Nano, and there's for the Xavier, and so we have all the 4s and again the 3 SPP, which is the spatial something pyramid. I've forgotten. AB will probably come in and tell me what it was, but basically it's a new type of activation or a new type of layering in the model for the Yolo V3, which up the MAP. For the mean average precision for the Yolo V3s, and it's the crux of the architecture that was used in the Yolo 4 models, which have a higher mean average persistence. So if you look at YOLO models over mobile net models, and this goes against the COCO database, which is about 85 or 80, around 80 or so classes on it, and academics and people that build models always go test against that class and or not data set, excuse me, on it. And usually in the mobile nets, you'll see a mean average precision between 42 and 46 is what I've seen in the mobile nets on some of the mobile net SSDs, right? And then if you look at YOLO Tiny, which is the fast executing model, you will see that's in the 20s. So your mean average precision's in the 20s. So it gets the first thing correct 20% of the time. And then if you look at YOLO in general, the 3s and 4s, they're in the mid 50 range on that. So these are pretty high precision on those models. Now, if you go through and train models like on our mobile net, that precision oftentimes will go up against the data set you're using. So it's just, this is the COCO standard on that, if that makes sense.
By the way, Steve, AB said it's the spatial pyramid pooling.
Yes, thank you, AB. And so it's a new type of layer. There's white papers out there. People should go and read those. It's pretty interesting. Or if you're having insomnia, it's also great too. That's often, it takes me a long time to get through a white paper, but but it will definitely put you to sleep. But anyway, anything else out there, Como, before I get started?
Yeah, there's actually a question about production deployments. So
okay, Lila, you're back up still.
Yeah. Are containers signed or secured through trust zone?
That I don't know, but I have asked it internally to see from the people who built the tooling. So we'll get back to you with that one. I can put it on Discord after the Hacky Hour.
Cool. All right, Steve, you can continue.
All right. So anyway, that's the models we go to. And then what was interesting is 2 weeks ago when we had the office, people were saying, well, what happens with the Xavier? How many models can the Xavier run and things like that? So that, when you're running TensorRT or you're using a CUDA backend and so forth. So what I did was I started down, we have a couple things going on. So one is we're improving our CSI cameras. That will be coming, support on Jetson. That will be coming out. So what you'll see today is the start of that effort. My prototype will be running on the CSI camera side. So we're going to be enhancing that piece coming through. We also will be adding support for the OAK-D coming in too at the same time. So you're going to see OAK-D support in the next release, and then enhancements to the CSI camera interface that we've been doing for the NVIDIA system. So those two things, and you'll see the prototype working on my system today. So what I decided to do is hook up 2 CSI cameras and go ahead and see what would happen if I ran 2 Yolo TensorFlow models. So I just wanted to, that's my quick demo, and then I can start to go and profile how it's hitting the systems and so forth. The weird thing is, so I got some cheap cameras a while ago, about a year ago or so, and they had them on sale from Wavelength, and they were fisheye cameras. So you'll be seeing the fisheye camera view today instead of a normal CSI camera view. And the reason for that is they were inexpensive. so that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and get started. So basically, I've done the install. I'm going to do the start now and let you see how that works. And so this is going to be running 2 Yolo V4 and Yolo V3, one on each camera. And we're going to get that started up. And it tells me, okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at it, and I'll get it in real time. Now, so this is it running in real time on the camera. And as you can see, we're doing about 30, on the 2 models, we're doing between 29, 30, maybe higher on one versus the other. It looks like the Yolo 4 is a little slower and everything as it warms up, but you can see this is moving pretty good in real time. And one of the nice things of CSI, we're going to have frames in, which these are these cameras run about 30 frames per second in. They're not the new high-end cameras that are there. So they have, I think what they called, not channels, but they have 2-channel systems. I think that's what they're called on it. I've forgotten on it. I have to go back and look at my CSI camera stuff. But you can see we're bringing in about 30 frames per second and processing 10 frames per second on this system. This is pretty darn good. I don't know if people have seen Yolos run before on the ARMs and things like that. You're probably running 100 millisecond. Plus on the Xavier if you're just running through CUDA or the system. So here it goes, and just to show you, I'm not fooling anybody here on this. There's my hand coming through to the cameras. Here's a water bottle coming in. There's Jim Cramer's tie as bobblehead for those who watch Bad Money from CSN. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. And the next thing I wanted to take over is this is JTOP, which is the analysis tool, stat tool that is given out by, you can go and they have it a free, it's called Jetson Stats, and you can download this and load this on your system. And this shows me what's going on actively on the system. And if you can see, I really think, and I'll try it again, I think I could get a third model easily on the Xavier system right now. It's running pretty good. It's not, if we go over and we take a look at, let's just take a look at memory. And these are 8 gig systems. And as you can see, we're not even swapping yet. So that's really, really pretty cool in memory. There's no swapping going on. We're using about 4 gigs of memory on this. If I went back over, you can see the CPU utilization and what's happening there. The system's cruising right now, basically, through these 2 models and really giving us a real-time, as you can see, performance on it. So on these questions, so I would say on the Xavier, it easily supports 2 models. And again, we're running some pretty high precision models with the Yolos coming through on that. So it's really what I wanted to show you. It answers a question that I didn't know. I think AB said that yeah, it could probably, that they could take on a lot more capacity. I'd only tested it 1, and that's why I told everybody 1. But this is really going. I have this Ethernet in. And the reason is, if I went over on the Wi-Fi, the Xavier actually overfloods the Wi-Fi adapters, bringing information across the Wi-Fi. So I always I have it plugged into the Ethernet port and an Ethernet port on my laptop. So any questions out there? This is it running. And, basically, if we took a look at the code, where did I want to show you? So if you look at how we start that up, ignore the CI. It's just basically I set up one object detection set, and I call it object detection left because it's running on the left camera if for me facing the board itself. And that's right here. And, again, we just do engine tensor RT. So it's the same setup we've always seen. And then, again, here's the second one, and I set it up to the right and so forth.
So I believe AB had a question. AB,
Sure.
You can unmute yourself.
Hey.
Yeah, hi. Amazing demo. Yes. So I remember our discussion about.
We can't hear you, AB.
Yeah, AB, you're a little bit blunt. I mean, not blunt, but a little bit.
Blur. Yeah.
Blur. Yeah.
So amazing demo, Steve. Yeah, I remember our discussion of running multiple models. Can we run multiple models on the edge device or not? So yeah, things go a little more interesting as well. I've seen 4 models running as well. Just to let you know, on this, I've seen that. One thing I wanted to ask was, is there a basically what I was trying to say is if you can we run multiple different kinds of models, so what will be the performance different kinds of with alwaysAI? Can we run an object MobileNet SSD and one maybe Yolo and then maybe one segmentation? So how can we do something in demo? And another question is, can we run this similar demo of running 2 models on Jetson and see what happens?
I haven't done that, but the answer is yeah. I mean, I'll have to take. I don't have that set up today.
No, I know, but yeah. My question was sorry. My question was, did you try it out?
Yeah. So definitely, on the MobileNet, let's do it live, right? if everybody willing to see it, right? So we have those in the catalog. We'll go through the process. It's a good idea. Should we try mixed models? So I mean, ideally the Yolo 3 and Yolo 4 are different models, right? I mean,
yeah.
So, but anyway, let's run a MobileNet and see. It'd be interesting, I think, right?
Actually, before you do that, Steve, we do have some couple questions relating to the CSI camera. So,
oh, I do want to say one thing that's been out there in Discord. We support Jetpack 4.4 and 4.41. We don't support 4.5 yet. So I want to make sure we have not regressed that in the system. So our gut is, given how changes happen, with NVIDIA that would probably not work on 4.5. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
4.5 has issues. Yeah, 4.5 has issues. Like not even just always there. They had some issues, other issues as well. So I would stay away from 4.5 at the moment.
Yeah. So NVIDIA is saying 4.4 is their current production version, by the way, or 4.41, excuse me, on it. So, and the biggest thing I've seen is they've changed the desktop on 4.41. So they have a new desktop on that. Still Bionic. But anyway, so any other questions? Sorry, you were going to ask a question. I just wanted to make sure I seen that out in Discord, and we're not at 4.5 yet on it. So, so can I get some? So go ahead, Kamal. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. So what is the input resolution for your Yolo V4?
So it's 416 right now, 416 by 416, which is pretty standard coming up. We are going to test some 608s and some on it. So a higher resolution coming out. That's one of the models we want to get up and test. And then also what we're building into the CLI and the model retraining. This should be coming out, so we're going to doing a couple things in model retraining. Right now, we're only MobileNet SSDs, but we're going and RCNN, but we're going to be coming out with a YOLO model retraining pretty quick here in about 30 days or so.
That's awesome.
And then part of what I wanted to say is right now, like if you're developing for the OAK-D camera, there is going to be a command that will allow you to build out a myriad model in the CLI on it. So you can train your model and everything else, and then you enter a command and it will give an OAK-D, it will build an OAK-D model for you that can access their pipeline. And I think there already is one for iCloud already on that. So, and then what we'll be adding in is for the TensorRT models. Those are coming through. Taiga's ahead of me a little bit. I've been working the YOLOs. He's been working the myriad standard ones like MobileNet and other things on those. So, all right. So, any other questions out there that we need to?
Yeah. Will the Xavier and CSI camera work with IP streams?
Yes. So there is an IP stream video. We talked a lot about it last week, but yes, I'm going to have to defer to Lila or AB on this one. And I think AB, you've used some streamers maybe on it or so forth. I haven't used. Taiga's our streaming camera person, but yes, you can stream. Definitely stream.
Yeah, I haven't used the IP streaming myself yet, but I don't see why you couldn't.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet, but it's certainly available in the APIs, and there's documentation under video streaming. If you go down and say IP video stream, the only thing that Taiga's always told me is I have to have a fixed IP address. That's all he said.
Sorry, I think the question is different, Steve.
Oh,
So the question here is, can we use CSI camera and export that as IP stream? If I'm correctly understanding the question, because they're talking about CSI camera and exporting it something.
Yeah,
sorry,
it didn't mention export. It just said, is it Xavier and CSI camera specific, or will it also work with IP stream?
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. Then sorry. So my understanding,
I
I couldn't read the question.
Yeah. So basically, if you have a USB camera, a CSI camera, or
two streams, he says.
Yeah.
To have two streams.
Yeah. So it's just the same way that I approach the CSI camera. I have a left and a right interface, right, for it. So you just whatever, you can have camera video stream 1, video stream 2, and you can set those up, and that includes
files,
video stream 4
webcam
too on that. So yeah, it can support those types of systems on it. So And again, we're going to try to run these things to the edge. I'll come back and do some reports as we go through this. It just came up a couple weeks ago, and like AB was more enthusiastic. I hadn't tested it yet, so I'm a little bit more conservative. So I wanted to see what happened. And basically, what I can say is AB's optimism on this is pretty cool. I mean, he was right on it. Like I said, you saw the stats that the device is doing. It's cruising right now. It's really cruising.
So my always take is like, what worse can happen? The machine will shut down, right? So
yeah. I know. I just didn't want to send a developer out and to go, hey, this doesn't work.
I know that. I know. And this is the hacky hour.
Then sometimes when you know the basics of TensorRT, sometimes you get. I was getting confused and so forth on what they would call kernel allocations and things like that, and device allocations, and it knows how to manage memory fine. I went back and looked at my PyCudas stuff, and AB, you're absolutely right on everything. So on that, so. I was thinking you had to hit a model to device, and I don't know why. Memory manages fine with it. So let's go ahead and we'll move forward and let's make some changes to the code, right? So I think what we wanted to do is we wanted to run, I go to model catalog, we want to go ahead and we'll go through the steps on it. So we're going to go to Xavier here. And
we have a couple more questions, Steve. If it's
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there RTSP and ONVIF support here?
OST. So help me out.
RTSP and ONVIF.
Yeah, that's the IP streaming. That's the IP streaming protocol.
Okay, cool. All right, and then this one says that I can see 0.02 and 0.03 seconds on the Xavier NX. Any idea what the Nano does typically?
Typically, I will set up the, so I'm gonna say, I got to remember what it was. It runs about 100 milliseconds on its system when you go to TensorRT on it. So that's so typically it's going to be about 4 or 5 frames per second on that is my gut. Okay. On Yolo version. If I had my camera hooked up, we could run it right now. Maybe I'll go hook a camera up. So I have one. We can try it. Does anyone want to try it?
The reason that Nano comes up very often is the community has Nano so much. Yeah. Compared to Xavier NX because of the cost, and NVIDIA came up with the 2 GB variant, which made us like easy decision whether should we go with a Pi or a Jetson. So like the 2 GB variant is out there like so much in abundance. So yeah, the 4 GB one is ideal, but 2 GB is not bad.
Yeah. So okay, so we'll play with the. I got that booting up right now. Sorry guys, you're getting to watch me run my, well, you're not because I'm still sharing my screen, but.
It's a good hacky hour. It's like a little workshop.
We should say thanks. Sorry is not the word.
Yeah.
We should say thanks.
So I'm going to go ahead, just give me a second here, and I just want to make sure it boots up correctly and I have the camera in correctly. We can watch failures. Failures are fun too.
That's true.
So I was actually working with
David said, I didn't mean to derail, but I think that is the derailing we all needed.
This is office hours, you know?
So I'm actually, so one of the things, and Colin knows more about this than I do, but one of the things we're trying to do get people to sign up is either we have a discount on the 2 gig Nano, which I'm going to run on right now, the 2 gig Nano, if everyone's okay with that. That's what I'm setting up to run. Again, I have weird camera, so it'll be a CSI camera, but it's going to be an infrared camera this time. So sorry, people. Cool. I mean, you know, I was working with a customer who's doing some monitoring, and they like those type of cameras. So let me make sure this is.
It'll be interesting to see how the 2 gigabyte will run. Because you mentioned that
about the basic membership and the offering on the lower end Jetson Nano that we have going on.
Yeah. So So some of our top users would have received an email indicating that that if you subscribe by March 1st, you get a 10% discount on our subscription pricing, as well as a free NVIDIA Jetson Nano. So if you'd like to learn more about that offer, feel free to reach out to me. And we're really looking forward to your support as we go live, or we have gone live with subscription. So if you have any questions about the pricing or anything related to what the value-added features are, just let me know. We're happy to also answer that. And then the discount is for annual. So the subscription needs to be for an annual subscription to be applicable. So thanks for asking that, Christoph.
Sorry, guys. You guys, setting up my lab right now. I just want to make sure that I know it's up on the network before we go.
You do get that production mode with the subscription service.
Yes.
So that's a cool feature to have. Yeah, and you can, here, I'll put in the pricing page. That sounds good. That way you guys can see what the difference is. We still have the freemium account if you guys just want to try out alwaysAI and see what the basic apps development mode looks like. That's a good way to get a feel for the platform.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, Steve. We can bring you back up.
No, go ahead and knock me off for a while.
Okay, so this is our pricing page. As Lila mentioned, we're going to have the free plan, freemium version for everyone. But if you are looking to take your application to the next level and access the model training toolkit and add some projects into your production devices, definitely take a look at the basic and premium pricing. And you can take a look at also some of the deployed apps, and you of course get standard or premium support depending on which plan you're on. So everyone needs a little bit guidance sometimes, so feel free to reach out to me if you have some questions about this. We also offer enterprise plans for those that those that like these two don't really work out. So if you're looking to work out a specific price, reach out and we can definitely work something out.
Okay, well that's, hold on, my monitor's booting. I just want to make sure I got it up and running.
Okay, and then we have some more pricing questions. So Christoph has asked, we have 2 separate accounts and we work on projects hosted by one of us. How do you deal with the subscriptions now? So Christoph, if you're looking to collaborate with a team, so let me actually pull this back up. If you're looking to collaborate with a team on your project, what I would do is I would go for the premium plan. So that allows you to have up to 3 users actively working on one project together. And that actually increases the number of production devices you have available, as well as, of course, access to the model training toolkit.
Setting up. All right.
So
I'm not sure if booting correctly.
All right.
And there's some additional stuff at the bottom if you need to add just 1 user, if you needed 4 or something like that, then it's just a fee to upgrade to a little bit, and rather than do like that whole next jump.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're looking to add just another user, you can also add like another user for $59 a month, or add some production devices. That way you can kind of add some things a la carte onto your,
that's a good.
Yeah, onto your subscription plan. So Christoph, hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, you can actually do the basic and just add in another user if it's just 2 of you. But if you're looking to actually add in 3 as well, so I would go with the premium, but totally up to you. Hope that helps.
Okay, sorry guys. You always have to put the ribbon cable in correctly. Otherwise your system may not boot.
Yeah, and Christoph says I need to deploy to production, so that's great. Then I really think that the production mode would be really helpful to you. So as Lila went into it earlier, production mode just enables your devices to be extra resilient, and they don't need to be manually started, so they can auto start and stop when needed, and you can update your applications throughout the process. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, and thanks for asking these questions.
All right. So, one second. I'm having monitor fun, everybody.
It's okay. Yeah, and one last thing I'll say about pricing is, Christoph, if you like, or if any one of you'd like, we can have a chat offline as well. If you have any specific questions, or if you're interested in learning more about like how the subscriptions work, or how the annual subscriptions work, what the offer looks like, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to walk you through it.
Okay. So we are ready to go on this. So let's, well, not quite. Give me one more second, stall some more there.
Yeah, and David just said, I sent Steve on a real goose chase. Whoops.
No. This, what happened is I always forget what direction that the blue label goes for those who've hooked up CSI cameras, and I put it the wrong direction so the system wouldn't boot. And now I fixed it, so, which was good. We only had two choices, right? So let's go ahead and let's go on in, and let me go ahead. I'll share in just a second. Okay, so let me go ahead and we'll start. So where's my, sorry guys, and we'll share. And I think I'm back. 1 second. Okay, can everybody see again?
Yes.
So I can get rid of this one. And so basically, let me just go ahead and test this one. Let's go through, and then we'll change models on it. I think right now we are running a Tensor RT model for MobileNet V1 on the system, right? So I'm going to go ahead and install, and hopefully it'll tell me I need to refresh. I hope that might happen here. Come on. All right, well, there we go. So it's good. It's looking at the Docker image right now and doing some analysis on it. So you gotta, and I'm using up a lot of my bandwidth on stuff. So give it a second here on it. I don't have my video on, so I'm okay on that. Okay, come on. There we go. So it's checked out, it's done all its Docker stuff. Let's go successfully in. So we'll watch, and then we'll put the Yolo model in. And any preference on Yolo 4 or 3 on TensorRT? And again, this is the 2 gig.
Yeah, David, what do you think? Do you have a preference since this was your request? He said AB can choose. AB, any thoughts? Do you have a preference? He said Yolo 4. Cool.
Yolo 4 is cool. So, okay. So now we're installing the models. Yeah, 22. I think that's the right one. Yep. Memorize useless IP addresses. Okay, so which one? Hopefully this is the right one. Looks good. Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, there's JTOP on that. And so we'll get a chance to see. So now we're going to go ahead, and this is the MobileNet running at this time. So I think it's V1. Yeah, V1 on it. So let me bring back all these guys. And then we'll go ahead and we'll change models and see what's going on. But I just want to give you an idea of performance on that one. Have fun watching it come up. Oop, what did it fail? Let's see. Now, look, because I haven't run app config in 24 hours on this device because I mess around on an Xavier, this is the type of error message you'll get, invalid token, right? So then what I want to do is I'll go ahead and run an app configure. So I guess that's good that we've seen that. Now we've seen the token issue. And again, I'm going to do a remote device. And I'm going to go to, and this is the 2 gig nano. So it'll be a little bit slow in response, but it's good. There you got to see, hopefully I'm saying, there we go. You got to see it. We don't know, but no, the tokens have been updated. And so that's what you will expect to see if, after that token expires. That's all it is. And then I go into my app install again, so we get to watch it, have fun talking to Docker. Hopefully a little bit faster. Come on, go talk to that Docker image. It's very slow on this one, this case when it has to go up to Docker. So anyway, Lila, any good jokes? You can tell. Kamal.
Again,
I wish I gotta learn to
out my
juggle
stand-up
balls or something
routine.
so I can entertain people on the system. But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Building the Docker image does take a minute or 2.
Yeah, well, actually, it's just verifying the Docker image at this point. There we go. That verified. Said, oh yeah, we're okay.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm trying to think if there was anything that we wanted to bring up that we hadn't
But
yet.
anyway, there was the token refresh failure for you. So there we go. So everybody who wanted to know what that looks like. Sorry, AB, go ahead.
Sorry, you need to bring up the people need to update their CLI and installer. You need to say that because I think explicitly.
Yeah, if you haven't, running the desktop alwaysAI app will automatically look for updates and should get you all updated. If you're on Linux, then you can update as you usually do on the CLI because there's no desktop app for that. Good point, maybe. Yeah.
It's checking for updates right now, and I'm probably just clogging up my. And there we go. So that's the desktop. And when you do that and bring it up, it will do the check. And if there's something to download, it'll be right up here, and the update will be over on that side of the screen. So that is the desktop, and that will always keep you up. Okay, so we got through that. So, but again, I guess the good news here is we've gotten a failure. So that was good, on the token refresh. So now everyone's seeing that. And I already have V3 installed, so then I'll just have to change it, but go through. We're going to go V4 though. And then we'll come up here to where we had the Xavier before, and I'll just enter my 192 something, the right number, 168. 1.22. And that was not promising. Do we have an error? Oh, look at that. Oh. Huh. I don't know what happened there. Oh, what fun. It's telling me it saw the camera. All right. Oh, let me see something here. All right. So, you guys, this is truly me developing here on this system. So let me go up to my JSON. App 01, that's what we're running. App 01 should be able to run. Let me look. So what fun. Okay, so yeah, so this is becoming real fun for me because this is my prototype system. It worked fine on the Xavier line. So why does it not like my video stream?
It did not receive the, I think it did not receive the frame. That's
yeah. Yeah, it looked like it got into some type of
no cameras available. No cameras available. If you see there, it's not able to detect camera.
Generated. Okay, yeah. So it did not get the camera up. Thank you for seeing that. So let me see. It should be 0. Yep, we're right there on the sensor type. Building the pipeline. Comes into video streaming. What line did it? Okay, that happened in the thing. It should have worked on it. Stream. It reads this camera stream. Camera's up here. Oh, okay. Read camera. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Let me see one more time where it said it had the failure. What line? 81. All right. So right here, you're right. It said did not read the frame. I'm not sure why.
So where is the camera index you have written? Camera open video stream.
0.
Yeah. Okay. Sensor ID 0. Okay.
Yeah. So we should be okay on that.
You can try any gstreamer command on the on your. You can run the gstreamer command on your on your Jetson, in the command line to see if it is able to see something.
Okay, I got to remember what that is. So I can...
Yeah, I'm gonna send you that hopefully.
Yeah, because it's saying basically you're right. It did not get anything on the camera. I'll see if the camera does not look lit up. So let me go ahead and do something unsafe here. Oh, I'll do it safely. So I still probably didn't have it set up correctly. So let me try that to see if that is better. I think
So this is funny. It says, meh, the lesson here is I need to get a Xavier. I can do some local hacking on my Nano and see how it performs though.
Okay, it's got the infrared coming out.
I sent you the link.
Yeah, I already have it. Okay, so let me, I think that might be it. So you send me on the link. Let me try one more thing when this gets booted.
The sensor ID is 1 there instead of 0. Try it out with 1 and then 0 as well and see what happens.
Yeah. I think I got it working because the system now is up, right? So let me go ahead and try another quick app install. I think this is going to work. I don't think the cable was actually. So this is troubleshooting 101. Check your cables. Oh, I did the install again. Okay. Yes. And those are, yeah, the Xavier was much better. So ad-libbing is also bad. So, but I think this is just camera setup. I can see that it's got the infrared stuff running on it right now on it. The other recommendation is, I know these things run hot and they don't. So the good news about the Xavier 2 gig, I think you guys know they have a Wi-Fi adapter for it. So you don't, so unlike the regular, the B02, which is the, the standard, the full 4 gig Nano now, their version on it, it is, it doesn't have a Wi-Fi. The 2 gig does have a Wi-Fi, so that's nice. It's only got one USB 3 port. Excuse me, I'm making up US, and the others are 2 on it. So, and the difference is, I think we should probably do a Jetson Nano one. I think between the team, I have an A01, there's an A02, and I think it's B02 and a 2 gig, right? The B02 is the true development board on what they call the carrier board, where the module fits in, and then you can actually run their production modules on that carrier board. And so we'll have to go through that at some point in time, I think, with everybody. That's a good hacky hour. Okay, so now we're back and running, and so now I shouldn't have a surprise. If I do, then we'll try again next time. That's a common warning. It's a warning. And, oh, look at that. So it's running. So let me go back. hopefully it's running. Yep, there we go. And so like I said, this is this is an infrared camera. Can everyone see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
And so on the MobileNet version 1, you're going to do about 30 frames per second. And I mean, your inferencing time is 30 milliseconds. And then if you can look at the in out, so you're getting about 30 frames and 24 frames out on this particular model. And again, this is, this is an infrared camera. So if, it's nighttime, it's fun to play with. And, but probably now the purple's probably very annoying to people, but that's it working in a nutshell. I'll put it back in front. There's the water bottle. It doesn't see the water bottle. There we go. Bingo on it. So that's it. That's pretty good. I mean, overall, that's not bad. And then if we looked at, we just wanted to, let me go ahead and get JTOP back up again. Oh, I broke the client because of course I rebooted. So I guess the lesson here is check your cables on that. And then we can see what's happening with the model on this from JTOP perspective. You see there it's going, it's cruising, it's doing fine. You can look at there's the GPU usage. And I use this tool all the time to see what's going on as it's moving. But the key, and then there's the memory. So you're at it's getting close. You're at 1.8 on a 2 gig system. And so if you look, we have some swap going on. So, okay, so let's go what David asked us to do a long time ago. Let's go and switch models out here. So let's go into our catalog. And now let me go back up, and now we're interested in this guy. And let me see what we got going on. So we want 4 on the Nano. That's 3. And if I go up, that's version 4 and again, it's 416 input. So let's go get that one. And so the first thing I'm going to do is add that model to my project. And so I'm going to just hit copy here on the model and go in. This was designed for me. It's kind of lazy to do, and I'm just going to paste that in. And so we'll add the model. And like I said, my internet, I'm out in the suburbs, or not, I'm in rural America. And so I'm using satellite. So if anyone wants to know why my internet's so slow. So are you guys still there? Kamal?
Yep,
Yes,
I'm here.
Yeah.
It went silent.
Just everyone goes dark. No.
Well, it took long enough to get it. So it's bringing down the model. I guess what people are seeing is just true response times at this point. And then anyway, so while it's bringing that model down, let me do the next phase of that. So if I bring back up, that's Slack. Not Slack, that's the other one, Discord. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to, again, going down to this one, I'm going to add it to my Pi file, and I'm going to come in and change right here. And so we're going to run the V4 when it's time. And so yeah, this is taking some time to get these in. That's why we always pre-do these things, but this is live. So, and there we go. So we're all happy there. And then we'll have a little timeout, as we know, as it checks the Docker version today on this thing with the. All right, just go ahead and check that Docker for us. It's the next step that will. And at some point in time, I guess I'll get some authorization keys generated for my X11, but I don't use that protocol that often. Can't say this is our most exciting Hacky Hour.
What are you talking about? We talked about production devices. We learned that the Nano performs almost as well as the Xavier at 0.0.
On that particular model, yeah, on it. Let's see how the Yolo goes. Remember, we were cruising through on the Yolo side. So your friends over at Jetson must be happy today because we're spending time on them. We only briefly saw Lila's pie. It made a short appearance. Okay, it's really close. It's really close. I promise you can go eat dinner and things like that in just a couple of minutes here. Come on. You said you were successful. Next one. Like I said, I'm going to have to learn how to juggle or something. So
To fill these voids.
yes, yes.
I know, maybe we could
We got
plan
three
some sort of trivia or something.
Yeah, maybe we should always have that ready to go.
Hot seat trivia.
David suggested we buy a book of jokes. That's a great idea.
Yeah, really, I really need to do that. So we should go now, provided I haven't done anything wrong. I don't think I did something wrong. Because I never think that, but yeah, look at that. You can start to see it. Hey, I'm loading. And you start to see the memory spike up. Let's go see what, go get. Oh. So, yeah, temperature's starting to spike. That's all good. That means it's working for a living. So just for background, so how the GPU will has a just-in-time compiler. So as it's loading stuff up, it's running that JIT. That's why if you look at it, it allows you to go between different versions of CUDA when they add it on NVIDIA, but also it takes a while to load a model in. So you're watching that JIT come up and do the compiler, just-in-time compiler that's coming in and loading everything up into CUDA. And we'll go through that at some point in time. I'll have a Hacky Hour on how CUDA works, and we'll do some linear algebra for the day. So that's always fun to do. Okay, well, I always want to bring that up for those, and what I actually want is this. And so we'll take a look at it. So this is it coming in, and so it's about 200 milliseconds. As you can see, it's performing about 4 to 5 frames per second. It's pretty, but it's a lot more accurate than what we saw on the MobileNet V1 on it. So that's the good news. So it's picking up all kinds of stuff. So thinks this is a bottle, but this isn't a bottle. There's a bottle there. It finds it, but you can see it's doing a pretty good job of it. So. Like I said, this is going to be the new CSI, and then we're going to have it so that you can enable frames, so you can see how many frames are coming in and how many are going out to help as you're tuning your system and so forth. So that's some of the changes. So you're getting to see a change before it happens because this is the prototype frame. But any questions out there on it? So this is hopefully you guys can all see my system. And I'm just not, because I remember one Hacky Hour was me, myself, and I. Anything, Como, on that? Is there any questions? Everybody, David, happy?
Yeah, no questions yet. AB said this is really cool.
So there you go. And again, like I said, this is infrared. This is not the normal output of a system. They're fun to play with at night. You can like turn the lights off and you can, well, do this type of detection. So anyway, that's it. So
awesome. Thank you so much.
That shows you the performance. But what I would say is it's still very usable. But it's not going to run 2 or 3 models like the Xavier, and it's certainly not the speed of the Xavier. So on that. But anyway, there it is. You got to see a little preview. We got 5 in chat, so it's or I'm behind the times. I'm just coming.
So yeah, AB said, I'd like to thank Steve for the live demo request, and thanks for supporting that. And I know we didn't get to supporting multiple models on the Xavier, but hopefully that's something we can save for
No, we
next
did do that on the Xavier, so we're going to do that on the Jetson Nano, and then
okay,
we can do all those types of things. So AB's got some testing for me to do. So we'll load up some cameras. We'll do some stuff on that, and we'll come back with it. And I do think we just need to cover the Nano family at one of these points in time. You know, you and I, Como, can talk about it, because I think everybody in the group has a different version. Like I have the A01s, the original, obviously the 2 gig. And we can sit down and perform, and then maybe we can get also a production module and get Tyga in there to show you how to flash the memory and run on that, because I think he has a B0. I think it's B02, right? I think is the current production model. So we'll do a Nano talk at some point in time, and we'll go ahead and see what its performance curves are, so forth. So I think that's a good Hacky hour. All right.
All right.
I think we've lost Lila. She's answering questions on Discord right now.
Sorry.
It's time to go. Hey, thanks everybody, and I appreciate the patience on this, but you know, that's what happens when we go live.
It was
I
awesome.
thought it was cool.
Yeah. I think everyone thought it was awesome. David definitely said he loved it. So thank you for doing that, Steve. And thanks everyone for sticking around and watching. And we'll see you guys next